You are the Matrix, everything comes from you, and everything is you, it's just your improved version. Hello, friends. Today I will tell you about a fantastic film called Substance. My name is Alex and welcome to my channel. A hand in a black glove injects a substance into the yolk of an egg, and a few minutes later it divides, producing an identical egg. Meanwhile, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a star is unveiled for Elizabeth Sparkle, an Oscar winner. Time passes, the star fades, and soon the name Sparkle no longer shines as brightly, and she now hosts a TV show about aerobics. Despite her age, the woman is fit and looks quite good. However, one day she goes to the restroom and, seeing that the women's is not working, enters the men's. But upon entering a stall, she hears the voice of the show's producer, Harvey, who declares that Elizabeth is outdated and the show needs a young and hot girl, and Sparkle should retire, especially since her Oscar was won at the dawn of cinema, so it's time to make way for the young. The upset woman goes to lunch with the producer, where he starts a conversation but doesn't finish it and leaves with a friend. And Elizabeth sees a fly in a glass of wine and feels completely helpless. On her way home, the actress is distracted by workers removing her poster from a billboard and gets into an accident. In the hospital, a doctor recognizes the star and pays her compliments, but the woman starts crying because all her fame is in the past. The embarrassed man says goodbye and leaves. However, a young nurse suddenly starts examining Elizabeth's back, muttering that she would be perfect for some experiment. As a parting gift, he sticks a flash drive with an advertisement for a substance called Substance into her pocket. Elizabeth reads the name of the substance when she is called by a man in his years who turns out to be her classmate Fred. He is happy to see her and suggests meeting and talking about their youth. He writes down his number on a random piece of paper and, after soaking it in a puddle, still hands it to Elizabeth, who pretends to be very happy to see her old friend. In reality, she falls into deep depression, especially when she finds a bouquet at home with thanks for being part of the team all these years. Rereading the word was. Elizabeth inserts the flash drive into the TV and watches an advertisement about a substance whose injection will unlock her DNA and start the cell division process, creating another version of the person. That is, according to the film's logic, this is the substance, and the person is the Matrix. And although these are two different personalities, they are both one and the same person, just an improved version of the consumer who will be younger, more beautiful, and perfect. Both personalities must exist in symbiosis with each other and switch every 7 days, remembering that they are one. Elizabeth goes to a bar and, looking at happy couples, realizes her loneliness. She returns home and, after long thoughts and memories, calls the given number and orders the substance. She is given a post office box number where she can pick up the product, and they hang up immediately. The woman spends a sleepless night, and in the morning, she sees an ad in the newspaper about a search for a new host for her show. Right there in the mail is an envelope with a card and the post office box number from the substance, and Elizabeth decisively goes to pick up the package. Using the card, she opens a passage in the wall of an old house and finds herself in a storage room where her package is waiting. At home, Elizabeth unpacks it. All the ingredients of the substance are laid out in bags and neatly labeled activator, stabilizer, another you, food for the Matrix, food for the other you. The activator needs to be used once, but the stabilizer needs to be used every day, and most importantly, the pair needs to switch every 7 days without fail and remember that they are one. In the morning, Elizabeth looks at herself in the mirror for a long time, noting age-related changes. In the end, she injects herself with a one-time activator, after which she is seized by incredible pain. The woman falls to the floor and experiences terrible pain attacks as her back splits open and a younger version of herself emerges. This new personality gradually comes to her senses and, approaching the mirror, sees the reflection of a young and very beautiful girl. For a while, she enjoys her new state and then notices Elizabeth's body. First, the girl tidies it up, sews up the tear on her back, and then puts her to bed. In the morning, she takes a shower and suddenly feels unwell. She pulls out special syringes and injects herself with a stabilizer, which she draws from the spine of the unconscious Matrix Elizabeth, and then goes out and enjoys her new young and strong body. Later, the girl goes to an audition, buying a seductive swimsuit along the way. She takes the name Sue and has a stunning effect on the producer's assistants and then on Harvey himself. Sue is chosen to replace Elizabeth on the TV show. Although the girl immediately warns that every 7 days she will be away to take care of her sick mother, this finally convinces Harvey, as the public will surely like such care. Sue begins to enjoy the fame that once belonged to the original version. She uses the stabilizer every day, and the Matrix's body is laid on a comfortable pad. However, a week passes very quickly, and it's time to switch. Sue attaches special tubes to her arms, injects the substance, and soon Elizabeth comes to her senses, while Sue's body falls into a coma. The woman tidies herself up and goes to the TV station, where Harvey gives her a gift from the Smo group. Returning home, Elizabeth marks the days in the calendar when she can be herself. All this time she spends at home. Soon she receives a message about a new set of substance delivered to her box. A week later, they switch again. Sue enjoys her new life, stars in videos, and is happy with her growing popularity. But one day she thinks about the Matrix's body and sets up a secret room in the bathroom. When she is almost done, her neighbor knocks on the door, annoyed by the noise of the tools. But seeing Sue, the guy just loses his mind and offers his help. But she slams the door and hides Elizabeth's body in the secret room, then takes down her portrait from the wall and replaces it with her own. Sue's show is incredibly successful, ratings soar, producers are happy, everyone is satisfied and swimming in money, and the girl herself makes new acquaintances and goes to parties. But one evening she brings a young man to the apartment, and when things get to that point, she suddenly feels unwell and remembers that it's time to switch. Sue runs to the secret room and performs an additional stabilization manipulation. She spends the night with the young man and switches with Elizabeth a little later than needed. The latter, coming to her senses, finds the living room cluttered and her fingers swollen with gout. Somehow tidying herself up, she calls the substance number, but they simply advise her not to forget that they are one and inform her that the changes are irreversible. Elizabeth tidies up the apartment and suddenly sees a new show on TV. She is forced to admit that Sue is very beautiful. Later, she hears her neighbor asking Sue out on a date, but she doesn't open the door. Then she receives a new set of substance. On her way, she stops at a cafe where an old man talks to her, lamenting that 7 days is too long to wait to return to one's body. He drops cards, among which Elizabeth recognizes the same card as hers for the substance, and recognizes in his gaze that young nurse who advised her the experiment. He knows that with each time it becomes harder not to forget that you deserve the right to exist, but soon the second part will literally start eating her. Elizabeth runs home, bumping into Sue's boyfriend, who of course doesn't recognize her. But this makes her remember Fred. She dials his number and makes him happy in the cafe. The woman dresses up, applies makeup, and hides her hands under gloves, but unexpectedly sees a billboard with her reflection. This disappoints her, she changes her makeup, and then completely removes it. Later, crying, she tears off her dress and stays home, despite Fred's insistent calls, and starts eating to cope with stress and insecurity. When it's Sue's time, she goes out to the platform and starts the show. However, during the exercises, she suddenly feels something bulging under the skin of her buttocks. The girl immediately stops the filming and, while the puzzled cameraman tries to understand what he just filmed, she runs to the bathroom, where she feels a lump in her fifth point and pulls out a fried chicken leg through her navel. She realizes that while she is living an active life, Elizabeth is gorging herself at home, and she starts to get angry. The girl complains to the substance operator, hearing only one response: they are one. Weeks pass. One day, Sue urgently calls Harvey to tell him that she will be the new host of their New Year's show, which is the highest step in her career. Sue is happy about this. However, she now more and more often abuses the stabilizer. As a result, Elizabeth's body rapidly ages and, coming to her senses again, the woman finds herself old, broken, with stiffened joints. The substance operator advises her to stop the experiment, but no one can restore her condition. She tries to convince herself to stop the experiment but cannot refuse such a beautiful second self, although her knee joints no longer obey her. She remembers Harvey's gift, and it turns out to be Elizabeth's cookbook. With energy, she starts mastering new recipes. Meanwhile, Sue does not disappear from the TV screens, and one day the woman hears her laughing at her, the old star, which makes the woman double her appetite. Elizabeth is so enraged by the leftovers and empty bottles that to gain independence, she takes advantage of the Matrix's helplessness and makes a 3-month supply of stabilizer. However, the day before the show's broadcast, the stabilizer runs out, and Sue calls the supplier to ask for more. But he says that Elizabeth is the only source, and they need to switch to replenish the supplies, and there is no other option. Sue almost loses consciousness and starts the switch. Her boyfriend hears that something is not right in the bathroom, but the girl does not open the door because instead of her, there is now a hideous bald woman with a deformed hump in the room. In the end, she screams at the guy, and he runs away. Elizabeth, who has become something horrible, calls the substance and asks to stop the experiment. After that, she goes to get the final set. Returning home, she drags Sue's body into the living room and prepares to inject her with a serum that will kill the double. Already prepared with the syringe, she looks around, looking at Sue's portraits for a long time. She realizes that she cannot kill her young version and brings her to consciousness. Seeing the half-empty syringe, understanding what Elizabeth wanted to do, Sue flies into a rage and beats her Matrix to death. Then she goes to the New Year's show. She is dressed in a gorgeous dress, but suddenly Sue feels unwell and runs to the bathroom. However, due to the death of the Matrix, Sue's body begins to rapidly deteriorate. First, her teeth fall out, which prevents the girl from smiling at the sponsors, which Harvey wants so much. Later, a nail falls off and an ear falls off. In a panic, the girl runs home, where she injects herself with the remains of the activator, wanting to create a new version of herself. But instead, a monster appears, Eliza Sue, a grotesque hybrid of both versions. The monster remembers how she went to the audition and tries to beautify herself, putting on a dress and a homemade mask of Elizabeth Sparkle, and goes to the show. When she reaches the TV center, she goes on stage and addresses the audience. The mask falls off. Screams of horror sound in the hall. She is called a monster, and the audience scatters in panic. When one of the men cuts off or beheads her, after which her mutilated body floods the entire hall with her blood. Everything that remains of Eliza Sue runs out of the studio and already on the street disintegrates into internal organs. The original face of Elizabeth manages to crawl to the star of the actress on the Walk of Fame, where she looks up, smiles, and melts. In the morning, the pool of blood left after her is cleaned by the janitors, erasing the memory of the actress forever. You know, this film is even funny in places, but essentially it is a very scary film that with bloody precision dissects the themes of societal demands on the female body and the pursuit of eternal youth, and makes you think about what it means to be yourself and how important it is to accept yourself as you are. Subscribe to the channel and now you can watch new videos. And don't forget to like this video and write in the comments how you like the film Substance. And with you was Alex.